call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the passion. In my thoughts up.
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you think about this video. We're going to get right into this today, and we're going to start off my mock draft we're going to have later on in the video, but I just wanted to start off looking at Tua Tagovailoa. We just had a video pop out. Sorry, it is raining in Florida right now, so that's what you're going to hear in the background, but there's a video of Tua right now throwing to Reek and to Waddle and to River Craycraft, and dude, I'm telling you, I think since Tua has been in the league, he has steadily gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And it just shows his work ethic as an elite quarterback. You have to really look at when the dude came into the league. If you look after the hip and everything that happened, he was very small, you know, and it wasn't necessarily to his fault. Of course, he's a college rookie coming out, so you need some time to build the muscle mass that you need, as every young college player needs. But with Tua, I'm just looking at every single year, and what you're steadily seeing, just based upon his muscle mass right now, there is a steady improvement in Tua every single time he goes into the offseason. Every single time there's an improvement in every aspect. Right now what we're looking at, dude looks like a freaking tree trunk. Like the guy, I mean, if you even look at just last year compared to this year, I mean, I was watching the video, I was like, holy crap, this dude looks like a linebacker right now. I mean, his traps are completely filled. His arms are so defined now. Whereas before, he kind of had like the slender, bigger arms. He always had really big legs, but his legs look just humongously muscular. He looks like a linebacker. I mean, his neck looks big. So what we can see is that in these past couple years, his fourth year coming up, every single year he hasn't improved every aspect of his game, including his body. His body has steadily improved every single year, and it's showing it again in the offseason where he's not taking a break. Like, honestly, what everybody wanted to talk and all this stuff, you don't hear about him. But what it looks like is you see exactly what was going on. The kid was putting in work right after he was cleared from protocol, and he just hit the weights, the things that he could do. And now he's throwing to his receivers. It is April. We have probably like 5 more months left. What is it? April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, 5 or 6 more months to the football season. We're already seeing him get out there, start working. I mean, and to be honest, he's been working since he got cleared of the concussion. So right now, I mean, just looking at this video, it just looks incredible to see Tua showcasing that he is that leader. People want to question his leadership. We're seeing it right here. He's taking his receivers out, and they're throwing the ball. Tua, I mean, it's going to be a crazy year. But we're going to move on to the next thing, in that we are going to do a mock draft. We're going to jump right into my mock draft. This is going to be one of my final-ish ones, I think, just because I want to nail down just in case we had a trade. So I think there's a trade that a lot of people are trying to think of, and it is basically trading to the Cowboys to lower our second-round pick and to get a fourth. Now, I think what we're going to do right now is Cedric has been on the block. I think what we could do is we could take our second-round pick, move down, add Cedric, and then they add in a fourth-round pick so that they get 51, we get 58, and we get 129 in the fourth round. And then we have a decent amount of draft picks coming into the draft. We have second, third, fourth, sixth, and seventh. So what I see here, we trade back. And I think what we'll do is we'll see where we're at. I think Chris Grier is going to really kind of successfully play his advantages here. I think he always does that during draft day. I really do believe that we're just going to take the best player available. In my eyes, I do want to go offensive line. I do want to get a younger guy because you have Connor Williams that is on an expiring contract, and he, if he plays the way he does, it's always kind of an unfortunate thing. You signed him for 2 years because you didn't know what he could be, and then he played really good. So now if he plays like that again, you're going to have to pay him, which is a problem. Christian Wilkins, he is kind of, he's got the whole contract situation going on, so we want to get him back. There's just a lot of different factors, especially if Austin Jackson does a little bit better this year, you have to give him a new contract. I'll probably go with John Michael Schmitz. And the reason I say that is because John Michael Schmitz plays center where Connor Williams is. So if you have a guy that you can put into center, plug Connor Williams to left guard, take Liam out, have Austin Jackson play at right tackle and get better, what could be the possibility of that is that you essentially have a guy that can come in, step into the center role, young guy. You have Austin Jackson, you have Connor Williams moving to left guard. Right tackle would be Austin Jackson. You give Austin Jackson a contract if he plays well. If not, you draft another player, and then you kind of have all the holes kind of filled. You have Tehran, you have John Michael Schmitz, you have Robert Hunt, and then you have Austin Jackson, or you have another player, and then we'll see what we have. We'll get a free agent left guard or something like that. But then you can build forward with that without having to spend an enormous amount of money on your offensive line. John Michael Schmitz is just going to be that solid center. He's just going to be that guy that just comes in and you can just plug and play, honestly. We'll see if he can, move to left guard. That might be a possibility as well. But if you get a guy like that, there's a couple options too. You could get Matthew Bergeron. He's an outside guy. You could get that guy. Steve Avila, if he falls, then you can get him and plug and play him. Cody Mauch is another one that I think could be good. You can get him and plug and play him, but just get an offensive line. But for me, I would rather go with the Schmitz because just because based upon his play, you can plug and play him. If he's there at the second round, you get him. You get a guy that you can just have move Connor out to left guard, and then figure out where your offensive line is next year, because then you kind of have all the seals plugged. The right tackle might be the only, off-putting thing, but you can move around a couple players, see what you can get maybe in, the veteran free agency. So then we'll go to the third. And they've already looked at this player. They've already had meetings with him. And I think if he's there in the third, they're going to take him. And he's my favorite player. I really want the Dolphins to get him. Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller is going to be a guy that is just super physical, does not go down, and can really give you that spark that Raheem Mostert gave you last year, where he was, kind of the big guy on the block, where he was just running through tackles. That gives your offense that spark, and it gives you that extra yardage every time you get the ball in that person's hands. And what's great about him is, they didn't really pass the ball to him too much at TCU, but there's some pretty awesome plays of Kendre Miller making some crazy grabs. So I think if he works on that a little bit more, he could be a really studly player at the third pick. A lot of running backs come out of that third round, becoming studs, second or third round. Sometimes it's a little bit more riskier to get them in the first, because a lot of these running backs come out in the later rounds, and it's just tough to try and spend that type of pick on a player like that. But Kendre Miller comes in the third round. He could be your gem. He could be the guy that comes in and is like that every single down workhorse back, comes in, makes a difference. And then again, next year you clear out cap space. Maybe you figure out what you're doing with the running backs, clear out some cap space, and you have your young rookie to take you, down the stretch. That's kind of what I think the Dolphins are approaching for their team these days, is they're trying to get the young rookie contract so they can keep extending the life of the team. It is because I think this is how we get all of the players. So I think we get that fourth round by trading Cedric. We have plenty of receivers, so we trade Cedric and trade our second round to get that fourth round, and then that's where we pick up Patrick Strange. I think Patrick Strange is kind of underlyingly going under the radar, but has the upside potential to be a really good tight end. And you can get him in a later round, obviously, because it's not that he wasn't good. There are some, liabilities. He isn't the best route runner yet, but I don't think that the Dolphins use tight ends the way that people think they do. We're not going to spread them out wide and do that. We're a West Coast run zone team that relies on tight ends that can block and can catch the ball, but mostly can block. So I think you get a guy that is very willing as a blocker, is very physical. You get Patrick Strange in the 4th round, and you kind of have everything that you needed from the draft this year. You have your offensive lineman, you have your running backs, and then you have your tight end. You have every single person that can plug in all the kind of missing holes. I know people want to say linebacker, but I just don't see linebacker as being a need right now. We have Jerome Baker, we're paying him a lot of money. Channing Tindall, we still have on the roster. Duke Riley, we have a decent amount of linebackers, and I really do feel like we had the linebackers that we do need. I think Channing Tindall's going to take a step up this year, and I don't know if he'll start. He probably won't, but he will be a good depth player to have in to do a couple of different packages with him. But then we're going to go to the 6th round. Javon Dexter out of Florida with the 6th round pick. I think you get a guy that, Raekwon, we don't know what he's doing right now. Raekwon's kind of on and off. Christian Wilkins, we have that whole situation going on. I do think that they're going to sign him back. I think that's going to be a big thing that we'll do. But what can happen is that you essentially get another defensive tackle to add depth, and you can possibly have someone that could turn into a decent player. He has a lot of talents, a lot of skill traits that he can utilize to become a better defensive tackle. And, again, like I said, Raekwon Davis has kind of fallen off from his rookie year, and we need another guy to add that depth piece to the defensive tackle position. So I think you get this guy from Florida, and you have a big dude that can man the middle. And, in a year or so, he could possibly get into the lineup, and you have your depth piece down there that you can, switch and move around. With our 7th round pick, I really do believe that we can and should get a kicker. I think, people aren't even naming the liability that Jason Sanders has been for us. You're paying him a lot of money too, so it's just kind of unfortunate that he looked like he was going to take off, and now he's just been such a liability when it comes to the kicking game, where some of the games could have turned if he just made a couple kicks this last year and the year before that. So it's just one of those things that, with a kicker, if you're not doing your job, you just move off of him. So with Jason Sanders, I think we should draft Moody out of Michigan. He could be a really good kicker in this league. I think you get your young guy that you don't have to pay a lot, and you just keep doing. This is what we're trying to do here with this draft, is you're trying to essentially move off of some of the more expensive players that you have, bring in younger guys, and then be able to create more cap space. So what you do by doing this is that, for instance, Jason Sanders has an expensive contract. You move off of his, and then you have David Long, Channing Tindall, and eventually maybe move off of Jerome Baker's. You have Emmanuel Ogba's big salary. You eventually move off of his and create more cap space. So when you have this two-year window that people are trying to name. No, honestly, what they have done is they've set up players. Now, unfortunately, again, with Ogba and with some of these other players, we didn't do that because we were, under the old thing. But now what we're doing is we're setting up players that now in a couple of years we can move off of them, create a bunch of cap space, and allow ourselves to get more players and just keep continuing. It's just good business, and I think that's what we're going to be doing with this draft. We're relying on the talent of our players, our drafting ability, and our coaching staff to make our team the best. We're no longer trying to get all these crazy awesome players, because that's honestly what happens with that, is you essentially get all these awesome players and then you have to let them all go because you can't pay for all of them. With the Tyreek Hill thing, he says he wants to retire, so he'll retire, and then you have Jalen Waddle take that number 1 role, and you have another younger player come in and step into the second role. Whether that be Izukanma, the long game is much bigger. So maybe in a couple years, Izukanma becomes that third guy, and then eventually can become the number 2. You never know. Or we draft a guy, or whatever it is. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to get players, have salaries for them that in a couple years they can move off of them, and then have the cap space, not try and sign these guys for 5 years, guaranteed whatever, blah, blah, blah amount of deal. And then you're kind of stuck with them. You know what I'm saying? That's probably what they're going to do with Tua. When they have a salary for him, they're probably going to have, guaranteed money, but also a underlying injury risk, side note in the salary. So what we're trying to do here in this mock draft, we're just trying to spot fix all the needs. We're not trying to draft a crazy, awesome, first round pick. We're not going to trade a whole bunch of players for things. We'll see. Chris Greer usually finagles some things, but I think what our trade could be is just move down from the second pick, take the best available player that we see fit, and then get your guys in the next rounds and fill out the rest of the roster. And the last thing I want to talk about, so right now we have, a trend of things of people putting the Dolphins in all sorts of lists and all this other stuff. What I really would like to discuss right now is how relieving it is that all of the other teams have all this drama surrounding them. The Jets, the Bills, and there's, the whole Bills thing falling off. The Patriots have the whole Mac Jones thing where Mac Jones might be traded and, blah, blah, blah. What is so beautiful is that for the first time in a very long time, I think, the Dolphins are just flying under the radar. We're just adding all the additions. Yes, we have, the big name things that we've done in the past couple weeks, but to be honest, it's just there's no drama with us. All it is that we are getting to work. You see the video with Tua, he's bulked up. All you see is that Tua is making improvements. All you see is that Tyreek Hill is discussing his business side and all that stuff. And they're trying to make drama. I know that the NFL announcers and all this stuff are trying to, do all these different things, but to be honest, man, there's no drama with this team right now. The only thing that happens with this team is that the other teams are scared of us, and I think that's an underlying narrative that no one is talking about, is that the Dolphins are scaring the rest of the NFL because there's no drama right now. All we're doing is creating good business, good player relationships, and creating an incredible work environment with our team. It's showcasing that, again, it relies on Tua staying healthy, but as you can see, Tua is taking the necessary tasks. Just looking at him from last year to this year, it is stunning. It is like, it's showcasing that everybody knows what they need to do. This team knows what they need to do in order to do or to be where they want to be. They just have to do it. That is the one thing that is going to be tested when the season comes, is that the Dolphins, every player knows what they have to do. They know they have all the players. They're not trying to sign big name people because they know that their coaching staff can make these players amazing. Now, the key is one, Tua staying healthy. Two, making sure the offensive line is optimum. I don't think they're going to spend a bunch of money because then you can't, that's what people are not trying to understand with this team, is that you can't spend a whole bunch of money on all these different players. We'll see. And what they're trying to do is, I think the next trade that they'll make besides, trading draft picks, is they're going to wait into the season. And what they're going to do is, instead of, essentially blowing your load on somebody right now, we're going to wait when the season comes, just like we did last season. What holes do we have? What is not working? What did we see that didn't work so far in these first couple weeks? And how do we fix it? And then we're going to trade for another player. We're not going to be getting these players that, we don't know what's going to happen during the season. That's exactly what we did the last season. We saw that Jalen Phillips needed help with the pass rush. Now, fortunately, our defensive coach was incompetent, but we got Bradley Chubb. That's who we thought was going to be the piece that we needed because our defense was terrible. Again, Chase Edmonds. We got Jeff Wilson and put Raheem Mostert into the starting lineup because we were fixing a hole because Chase Edmonds couldn't do it. We're going to wait till weeks 1 through week 6 to see and assess where the team is at. Good business to showcase that we are a good organization. We're going to see where we're going, what we need to fix, tweak it, and make it where we need to go. They already believe in Tua. I know everybody doesn't want, to be on that same side, but I love Tua. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I think if you just look at the freaking tree trunk guy that is a human being right now, I mean, the dude probably weighs like 230 right now. He looks humongous. It's just showcasing that, again, this organization is doing everything they need to do to maximize the potential and to not just have some sort of 2-year window, but the 2-year window and then different players for the next 2-year window. But they're getting all the secured players that they need to have. Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa. I believe they're going to get their running back in this draft. Have their corner in the next draft, and keep building on all these different pieces that they know they need to fill, fix, key them in. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I have to say for today. As always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, comment down below. Love to hear from you guys. And I'm going to keep doing this for you. You already know. So as always, have a great rest of your day. Fins up. Peace.